Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Straub. I'm head of product with Kickfurther, and we're going to be having a discussion today with David Koifman, our head of growth, and our guest of honor, the president and COO of Phat Scooters, Derrick Maines.
No,
Exactly. I'm going to say hi. So what we're going to be talking about is Phat Scooter's business, and specifically in the context of Co-op 7, which is up on the site right now. So it's still got a little bit over $430,000 of packs remaining at the time of this recording. And they're offering 9.49% profit in 6.1 months. And the pack size is $1,181, 84 cents. So you can check out that co-op. We'll link to it in the communication that goes out that'll go along with this discussion. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Derrick and let him tell you a little bit about what they're doing.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thanks for having me. Really appreciate you taking the time today to connect and to chat more about what's going on with Phat Scooters. As you mentioned, this is our 7th campaign through Kickfurther. We've been around for a long time. I believe we started, was it 2018, maybe early 2019 with our first campaign. Phat Scooters is now turning 4 years old in June. We're a month away from our 4th birthday, and really going through just exponential growth. We have been a brand that's been in really high demand throughout the history of the company. Last year, we were finally able to truly address the demand. A lot of that had to do with Kickfurther and being able to run campaigns in order to get the right funding in place, in order to get the inventory that we need. We're a weird company in the sense that we don't really market, but we have more demand than we have ever had supply. That is a good problem to have, but it is still a problem. I was notified this morning, for instance, that we ran out of batteries and that we're about 3 weeks away from our next shipment of batteries. So, we run into these gaps where we run out of a component, we are unable to fulfill orders for a certain period of time, then that component comes back in, we fulfill all those back orders, and then we start selling again. So this is the first time that's happened to us in almost a year. So we have been pretty good on our inventory. A lot of this has been a little bit intentional. We have been actively moving towards changing our supply chain from just in Asia to a combination hybrid of Mexico, the US, and Asian suppliers. For the last 4 years, we've primarily used one major supplier in mainland China. And what we've done is we've used, pardon me, a person on the ground that we've known for about 10 years. And she has been working with the assembly plant. She's controlling the supply chain, bringing all the parts into the assembly plant. Those are being assembled into what the Chinese would consider a finished good, then brought to us. Unfortunately, the quality that we get out of mainland China has never been great. So we then disassemble the product on this side, replace most of the nuts and screws and bolts and some of the electronics. We improve that product. We then customize that product and ship it out to our customers. The transition in this last 18 months has been moving to a supply chain where we do all the assembly here. Instead of getting a product that is considered a finished good and then taking it apart and putting it back together, our objective was, let's control the entire supply chain, bring all the parts and pieces in, and then we do the final assembly here with a goal of doing as much as we possibly can in the US and Mexico. Why Mexico? Well, the maquiladora relationship now around the Mexico-America trade agreement means that when you purchase certain goods in Mexico, they come across the American border with a Made in the USA sticker on them, which is pretty incredible, right? There was a real transition there in recognizing that it's better to onshore some of this than it was to offshore. So we are just months away right now, and that's what this campaign is about, of the initial supplies that we need to start building those units here in the US, where we're doing full assembly here, and we're doing it with parts from a bunch of different suppliers. Now, this is not just a willy-nilly, like we threw it out there, we made a bunch of phone calls and we got new suppliers. Absolutely not. This is a engineering endeavor that has been going on for 18 months. We have a Chinese national in our office that is on the phone all a night long, talking to suppliers, getting samples, bringing those in, testing those. For instance, the motor supplier, the Shenzhen Motor Company that we're using for this production run of scooters, that is the 5th company that we have taken prototypes from. We've even gone as far as engineering, partially engineering our own motor, and then getting it to a point and realizing we learned a lot of things that we could share with Shenzhen, but it didn't make sense for us to pursue that path the whole way through. So these are very, very well thought out processes. We haven't just placed an order, right? We've gone through the process of ordering all the components, bringing them in, checking them for fitment, running. I think we have 6 scooters on the floor right now that we have like 250 miles on. We literally run these things with trackers every single day. We measure all the electronics output. We do everything. And it's pretty exciting because the new scooters that this campaign is focused on have 5 times the amount of joules, meaning that a 280-pound rider like me, if you were to take one of the scooters we have right now and one of these new scooters, it would go up that hill 5 times faster. I mean, it literally, when you turn the throttle, we've actually had to throttle these way back. When you turn the throttle on one of the test models, it's immediately in a wheelie. I mean, it is that powerful. This motor is just like, so there's just a tremendous amount we can do with that now. We can start to look at the off-road market. We can start to look at more utility markets and agro markets. And that's pretty exciting. We're excited about this new product because it is a significantly higher quality. It will reduce our warranty and repairs. It will improve the way that we build things. So for instance, right now, our average order is about $4,000 from our customers. And a lot of that has to do with electronics. They're adding a Rockford Fosgate speaker system or LED lights, or they want to add a sidecar with another amplifier, something like that. That requires us to essentially take the entire scooter apart, rewire the whole entire thing, make new wiring harnesses, do all that kind of stuff. When we move to these Mexico frames, they actually come pre-wired with quick disconnect. So all of a sudden, what used to take me an hour to put a Rockford Fosgate upgrade on now takes me 15 or 20 seconds to just plug it in, bolt it on there, and all of a sudden I've got a $1,000 upgrade on an already $3,000 or $4,000 scooter. So we're pretty excited about where this is going. It also really fits our brand. We have struggled with the Chinese supply chain for a long time because we do so much rework on this end to get it to the high standards that we have. And we have those high standards because our customer is usually, quite affluent. We joke, but it's true. The higher the fence at the country club, the more prone they are to have scooters inside. I'll give you an example for those of you familiar with Arizona. One of the most prestigious country clubs here, Pine Canyon in Flagstaff, Arizona. As of tomorrow's delivery, we'll have 250 scooters in that community of only 280 homes. So that tells you the level of penetration we have in these high-end communities. Discoveryland Properties is another one. Discoveryland, there's one in Vegas, they're all over the world. These are places where lots start at $5 million, and then you build your home on there. We have exclusive relationships in there. Troon, all the Troon private country clubs in the world, we have exclusive relationships there because we understand that's our customer. This is a customer that usually would buy a high-end customized golf cart for $15,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 and leave it in their garage. And now all of a sudden they look at our product and they go, you know what, I could buy 2 or 3 Phat scooters for that same price. And I can get the utility of, using one on the golf course, taking it out with buddies to have a cocktail. My wife can have one and go play her pickleball matches. So there's just a lot to that. And that's why, although our price will go up when we go to Mexico, go up by about $700 to $1,000 on each model, we're not really that concerned because our customer isn't price conscious. More often than not, when we go to live demo events, the joke is that nobody ever asks how much it costs. They just give you the card and they say, just charge me what it is. So we get a lot of those kind of things. We have that more affluent consumer that we think will appreciate this higher level of quality. And, I think that's really where we're going, is trying to get as much out of Asia, try to get as much here in North America as we can, and really get control over that supply chain and our own destiny. I'm going to let you get a word in edgewise.
Well, that was a good glimpse into the supply chain stuff and how your costs and quality have been impacted. I'm sure the backers on Kickfurther are interested in learning a little bit more about the business structure and the financial side of things and where you were when you first came to Kickfurther. how Kickfurther impacted the growth then, and it's been a few months since we've seen you. So what occurred in those few months, and where are you at now? And then from there, where do you see the relationship with Kickfurther over the next 6 months after you complete this series, and then the next production runs from there?
Absolutely. So when we first came to Kickfurther, I believe our revenue trailing 12 months was right around $2 million, maybe a little bit less. Our trailing 12 month now is 10 million. And that is without any marketing and with a television show 30 days away from hitting the airwaves. So we have grown exponentially. The last campaign that we did on Kickfurther, it was set to finish out, I believe it was like the first week of May, right in the middle of COVID. And at that moment in time, we were still sitting here doing a couple $100,000 a month. We made a pivot right at the end of that campaign, and we really just changed the way we did business because of COVID. We sat down and we said to ourselves, what we've done in the past is not going to work in an environment where we're not even sure we can open up our production facility. We can't bring all of our people in. We had over 100 events cancel last year. Everything from Aaron Rodriguez's golf tournament to Michael Phelps' charity swim event, just all of these great events that were really going to put us in just these amazing situations to be able to sell to a really high-end affluent consumer. So in early April, we changed the trajectory of the company, and we went from not doing any marketing to doing a lot of marketing. We let go our event staff. We let go of about a third of our people. We then rehired back in with marketing people that really had grassroots guerrilla marketing techniques down pat. And then we built the business back up from there. It was phenomenal. I mean, we went from in March, I think we did about $300,000 in revenue last year. By May, we were at $900,000 in revenue. And we really continued that trend out through the year, breaking the $1 million mark 2 times in Q4. And are really just on that same trajectory now. This last month, I think we ended about 650. Some of that was because we were starting to get oversold. The month before, we were at 850. So we're really back on that trajectory to do right about $1 million a month. And we have definitely, consistent needs for inventory. It is the biggest expense of this business. We've got just a lot of parts and pieces that we have to have coming on a regular basis, a lot of high-end accessories. So we love this relationship with Kickfurther. We wouldn't be back for our 7th time if we didn't love this relationship, because it is a really great way to do non-dilutive investing, but also to really get focused on the thing that we need the most, and that's inventory. We pay the bills just fine. We don't have any issues with that, making payroll, all that kind of stuff, especially now once you start to get those higher levels of revenue. It's really good for us to have that. Where we also do have a little bit of a challenge, and I think it's really helpful from the Kickfurther side, particularly in this campaign. All of our other campaigns, we didn't really have any sort of, we were selling it and then we were paying it immediately. Now we have a little bit of a lag in our business because so much of our business has gone corporate. Truly is a great example. If you're familiar with Truly Seltzer, we have multiple 6-digit orders in the system with them right now. I think they've got probably close to 100 scooters being shipped out in the next 60 days. We just recently landed Bevmo at Anheuser-Busch. Boston Beer Company is now a customer. The casinos have all started to become customers. Why? Because they see this product as a really amazing giveaway, something that they can get for a couple of $1,000s that they know there's an incredibly high demand for. They know that when they post this thing on social, people will go gaga for it. And then on top of that, when people search social and they see the Jeremy Renners and the Jordans and all these other guys riding it, they're like, well, that's even more of a reason that they want to buy the product. So we've done a really good job in the last couple of years of making a very good strategic pivot, gone from a very small company, a couple of $1 million a year in a couple of 1,000 square feet to, $10 million is about what we'll do this year. My hope is we can do closer to 12, depending upon inventory. And 50,000 square foot facility, a production floor, all of the things that you would expect in the maturation of a business like this.
So I have a question, Derrick. I'm just curious, what kind of advice, what would you be willing to share about the sales process? Because it seems like you land a lot of big corporate accounts. Is that a word of mouth thing? You seem to have a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, some of that, honestly, Eric, it came from in the early stages of the company. You know, we were fortunate. Our founder was an Olympian. His best friend was the agent for one of the greatest hockey players. I mean, Wayne Gretzky, the greatest probably hockey player of all time. Although I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan myself, so I can't say that too loud because, you know, you got Lemieux. I mean, but the point is, we did have some early on connections with that. You know, one of our other founders was heavy in athletics and played played college ball and didn't play pro because of an injury. But we had some connections with that, and then we just all had connections ourselves. One of my close best friends is the GM of a NFL team, and these are just guys that we've known throughout the years of doing business with, and it really started with a small kernel of being able to get some of those folks on product. Bill Murray was we still consider him our patron saint. He was one of the first people ever caught on social media on a Phat scooter. That didn't do bad for us. You know, I mean, it's Bill Murray. And then that turned into Pat Perez, who's a PGA pro, and Pat Perez got Andy and Ricky Barnes, who are PGA guys, and then Charlie Hoffman and Ricky Fowler. And it just sort of morphed from that. But we were really open with them. And we just said, hey, look, we're trying to build a brand here. Don't just drive the product. Let your friends know. Tell your friends how to get a hold of us. We were very good on answering the phone 24/7, particularly for VIP customers, at least in that first year. So, you know, if they had a problem or they couldn't figure it out, we were jumping on the phone with them. We were going to all their events. We did a lot, way too many charity events. You know, when I look at the financials in the first couple of years, almost all the profit was eaten up in product that we gave away for charity events. And there was a strategic reason to do that, though, right? When you've got, you know, Tiger Woods going to do one of his charity event, you know what? I mean, okay, right? Or Bill Murray, we've done Bill Murray's event every single year, or the Phelpses or the Jordans or whoever that might be. We were really good at doing that, and people knew that we would do it. But the difference is, Eric, that one of the things that I think that people really appreciated about our approach was we never, you know, and I still get calls every single day. We were just at Andre Reed's event this weekend, and the first question we ask is, hey, Andre, what's in it for us? And they're not used to that. A lot of times celebrities are used to just getting things for free. But we actually say to them, look, man, we'll participate. But like, this is a business, dude. Like we got to pay the bills. We got to eat. We got families. And it is amazing when you just ask that simple question, what happens? Because all of a sudden they feel like they have to be a really strong brand advocate for you. So it isn't just it's at the auction. It's them getting up there and going, Marcus Allen's getting up there and going, guys, this is an amazing product and I own it and I love it. And, you know, you should join me as part of this Phat family. That's as good as it gets. And that has become viral. You know, now it's every day. I mean, I love to talk about the TV show. Dominique Wilkins, the Human Highlight film is in one episode. And he literally hit me up on Instagram one day and said, hey, I saw Deion Sanders had one. I saw this other art guy had one. He's like, how do I get one of these for my charity? And I said, if you can beat me at basketball, you can get one. And he's like, bring it on. I said, okay, but I'm going to bring a camera crew and we're going to come to your house. We're going to play basketball. And he's like, if you show up at my house with a camera crew, I'll be on your TV show. Well, okay, great. Now I have one of the greatest basketball players of all time who is out promoting me. And like, he sends me guys all the time. And it's like, hey, I was talking to these cats and they're looking for a scooter. So, you know, we've done a good job of making ambassadors of these folks, not just giving them a product for free for a charity event, but actually helping them understand we're in the business of making money. And we need your help to do that. And like I said, the first couple of years, we were okay with even taking losses on our financials to do that. Now this last year, and with our new CEO come in, our new CEO has been in finance for the last 30 years. He is very fiscally responsible, right? He's bringing that element of maturation to the company right now where he's going, hey, look, okay, I see we spent $100 here. What can somebody explain to me the ROI? And really getting, you know, under the sheets and starting to look at that stuff and saying, let's worry about maximizing our margins so that we can go into distribution in the future and that we can do more and more campaigns with Kickfurther and that we can sell more and more product, not just through our own efforts, but through the efforts of our distribution network. Does that make sense?
Yeah, really good. So
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that was good on the growth of the business and the higher level stuff. Let's zoom in a little bit on this production run and the products that we're funding. So these co-ops, co-op 7 and then co-op 8, which is going to be following closely behind it. pending its success, are to fund the black and white HD scooters that you described the supply chain of at the beginning of the call. Tell us about cash flows and why you're confident the cash flows that you're going to be experiencing are going to be more than sufficient to pay back based on your timeline. And then where we go from here, because I know the Kickfurther community likes to support businesses that are going to be coming back over and over again.
Absolutely. So the advantage of this new product and process is that we do actually have significantly better terms. And what I mean by that is we've been able to place the purchase orders that we have in this run really are for 2,000 parts of some of these things. Some of these things we have to buy larger quantities of parts, but because we've got great negotiators here, we've got great connections. Many of these folks have actually produced accessories for us in the past. So for instance, the main company in Mexico that's doing all the frames, they've been doing all of our accessories for the last 3 years. So we've already worked with them, experienced with them. We've got better terms with them. We've got a little bit different ways that we can pay them. Instead of giving them 50% down at first, we can give them 10%, and then we can trickle some money to them at certain intervals. They'll start to ship some product with a little bit better terms on it. So we've actually been able to really, really improve that whole entire cash flow of the product. But that's still, things like batteries. I mean, I've got 2,600 batteries that are coming from China at a wholesale cost of about $500 a piece. That's a lot of cash. Even if I've got to give them 25, 30% down in the next 30 days, okay, that's a big chunk of change. And then I've got to have that cash available to pay them off before that product comes out to me. And fortunately, I mean, it is sort of bad news that we've run out of batteries right now, but that does mean that we are going to be doing, we're going to have a bunch of stuff sitting on the floor waiting for those batteries to come in. And as soon as those batteries come in, we immediately turn that into cash. So that is, the advantage of this new supply chain. Also, because of the recent management changes, and I went from being just president of the company to be president and COO. Anybody that knows my background, I've written 3 books on lean manufacturing, and we've brought lean manufacturing into this facility. The last 3.5 years, we averaged an 8 to 12 week backlog on orders, meaning if you placed your order today, there was no chance you were getting it in the next 2 months. Maybe you'd get it in 3 months. For the first time ever in the last 60 days, we are actually producing ahead. So we don't even have orders for the stuff that we produced today. All we're doing is we're building the core scooters, putting the core electronics on, pushing them off to the side and waiting for orders to come in with artwork, which is hugely advantageous compared to what we used to do before, because that means that we turn this stuff into cash right now. Like, we don't have this huge backlog of waiting on, a great example would be like an Anheuser-Busch. Well, they have 60-day terms, but if it takes me 3 months to ship to them, that means my order that I take in July, I don't get paid for it till the next year. Like, that's like Walmart kind of, garbage, where it's like you've got this huge money that's laid out for a long period of time. So we're shortening that. And our hope is that as we tighten this up going forward, we can shorten that up even more. My objective is that this time next year to have a 30-day cycle from the time I deploy cash out to a vendor to be turning that into cash within 30 days. In the past, it's been 5.5 months. So it's been a really long time to do it. Now, as you can see in this campaign, it's in that 3 to 4 month range, but that's just because a lot of this is initial orders and initial inventory. So we've got to sort of get those supply levels up. Does that make sense?
Great.
Yeah. How about other questions?
What's your exit plan? Is there one?
Great question. Yeah. So we've had some people sniffing around for the last year or so, including the bigger venture firms out in Silicon Valley. My background, if you look me up online, you'll see that the last company that I was a full-time gig at, we did do a NASDAQ exit in 2014. We listed on the OTC and then did an uplisting through a reverse merger transaction with 2 other companies that were similar to us. We brought those guys all together into one and then did an uplisting on NASDAQ. I'm a public company kind of guy. I like the public exit. But I will tell you, I don't know if we'll be here when it goes public. I think there's too much interest from other electric vehicle manufacturers, as well as golf cart companies, off-road vehicle companies, electric bike companies that understand our niche a little bit and recognize the brand that we have built in this niche. And they feel that there's a lot of value to that. So, we'll see. I think also the TV show is hard to tell. We've talked to some other TV shows that have been successful in this same sort of category, and they've told us that they went from 100% of their business being building their core product to only 5% of their business being building the core product, and 95% being merchandise. So who knows? Maybe you'll just have coffee mugs with my face on it all around the world. It's hard to tell just yet, but that is one of those things. With the Riding Phat TV show coming, we just don't know what that does. Does that spike our sales? Of course, I believe it spikes our sales. Does that create an entire merchandise platform for us that we have never even really thought about before? Maybe that does. Does that mean that we should look at creating a little bit more of an entry-level model that we can sell out to the masses through distribution? I guess it really just depends on the success of the show and who the customer is that comes through that. I do believe that because of the mass audience that Crackle has, 20 million monthly subscribers, I do believe that our audience is going to shift a little bit. It will be less of the affluent consumer and more of the general population here later on this year. And that means that we have to accommodate that and try to drive the price a little bit lower, at least on some of our, at least on some product, in order to get, to meet that demand.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good summary. I think in closing, maybe if you have a few words that you want to, say directly to the Kickfurther community, along with contact information.
Absolutely.
If people want to reach you and ask questions directly. Next steps from here, we have a recording of this call, so we're going to be putting it out to our users in an email, along with any contact information we provide. And yeah, thanks for being Kickfurther customer. And
yeah. We look forward to this successful campaign and many more in the future. You can reach me at Derrick, Derrick at Phat Scooters. Anybody that's been on the comment boards knows that I watch those like a hawk, so I'm usually on there. Instagram's another good way to get a hold of me. I probably respond faster to Instagram than anything else, and that's just at PhatPrez. We'd love to have you be a part. The growth of the company has been exponential, and a lot of that has to do with the success that we've had with Kickfurther in the past and being able to get that inventory that we needed to meet that demand. And it's funny, on the boards, we talked a little bit about this, but people are like, wow, this is a big campaign. I'm like, yeah, we're a much bigger company. We used to, $250,000 the inventory used to go someplace. I think it's funny, until March of last year, we never shipped more than 100 scooters in a month. There are weeks we ship 125 scooters now. So it's like the bigger the monster becomes, the more you got to feed it. And that's great. I mean, it's good news for us. It's good news for the backers. And, I think it's just a cool opportunity too, with the TV show coming out, to sort of follow this journey, to get on board right now, participate in part of this Kickfurther campaign, watch the show, and be able to, say to your friends, hey, I was an investor in that company, right? I mean, that's sort of a cool thing, and gives you a little bit of street cred.
That's awesome. Well, we're glad to be a part of your growth story, and I'm sure all the backers who supported you are as well.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today, and thank you all for tuning in and listening.
Thanks so much, Derrick. This was really fun.
Yeah. Thanks, Derrick. Take care.
You too. Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate